where do they get the power to begin with? Because because the bottom line on net, they're increasing the power demand, correct? That's what I mean by increasing the base load.
The base load, right?
So where are they getting the extra base load?
Well, they're creating it, right? They're setting it up.
But where does that come? Because that's got to come from coal or nat gas or
it's
oil.
coming from, well, a lot of it in Texas is coming from wind and solar, surprisingly, because they've built so much that's not being used. A lot of it, like where Riot is in Texas, they've taken over like the old Alcoa smelting plant, aluminum plant, which used a lot of power. So it's coming from different sources. A lot of it in Texas is being used from flare gas, right? So all through all the oil fields, through the Bacon Shell in Texas, they're drilling for oil. As oil comes out of the ground, natural gas comes out of the ground as well. Because natural gas is so cheap, a lot of it is what we call abandoned or stranded is what they call it, because it's so far from a pipeline. I can't even get it to a pipeline. So I just let it either vent or I flare it off. And so they're setting up containers right at the wellhead and they're using the energy there. That doesn't really help the grid as much, but this is coming from grid power, right? So this is typically stuff that would either be wind and solar tied to the grid, or it's like from these like old power plants, like Alcoa, for example. But they've done this multiple times and there's reports of it. So they shut off, they push all the power back to the grid. The reason why this is important is two reasons. One, currently the plan is the existing plan is to build a secondary power plant that only gets used in times of need. That's a lot of money going to waste. So now they can produce Bitcoin mining, so they can turn that into a profit center, and then push that power back. Now, the rest of the world wants to know about this. How can other countries that are producing a lot of natural gas and need a lot of high base load do the same thing? And so it's starting to change the world that way. We're starting to see, even in Africa, places that don't have energy, they want to put in a new hydro dam, for example, but there's not enough people there to make that hydro dam investment economically viable. So what they can do is they can put Bitcoin mining there until there's enough demand for the power, and then the Bitcoin mining can just leave and go somewhere else. Yeah. And so anyway, we're starting to see a lot of these other nations starting to adopt this.